Good evening again, Steve here. This evening we had myself and 21 other people, by the way, had a barbecue picnic at the forestry farm here, just on the outskirts of the edge of Saskatoon. And it was a great event. You know, there was people during the day texting me and sending email and such. Are we going to postpone this? Are we going to cancel this? Because for those of you who are not here, we had these massive forest fires to the north, and we had a slight wind yesterday, and it was the place was just completely blanketed in this acrid, grass fire, forest fire smelling smoke everywhere. You could hardly see, and your eyes were watering and stuff, and people's asthmatic problems were flaring up and what have you. And also, so today was supposed to be the same, and it was supposed to be possible thunderstorms. So we woke up this morning, air quality warning, thunderstorms possible, and here's this barbecue that I had scheduled, right? And there was supposed to be 20-something people showing up. So people were saying, well, you're going to cancel it, you're going to cancel it. And I've been down this road before a number of times where people would suggest we cancel stuff, and I cancel it. And then what happens is, the weather turns around, it's beautiful or whatever, and people show up, and then they're calling, or they're messaging later, or the next event or whatever, like, why was there nobody there? And so it was just go ahead with it, because a few years back we had a barbecue, and it was just a rabid thunderstorm, and we were able to find this little overhang to get underneath, and we had a great time just watching the water come down. It was warm and everything. So I just said, you know what, we'll go ahead with it. I mean, for those who can't come out because it bothers them, whatever, the smoke. But my way of thinking was, look, the possibility we get thunderstormed out, what can you do about that? Number two, a little bit of smoke in the air. Well, it was a lot of smoke in the air, but even if it is smoke in the air, if you're going to sit beside a campfire anyway, that's kind of a smoky area anyway. So we got ahead with it, and it was spectacular. The smoke had blown out just enough so it wasn't that intense anymore. There was no wind. The smoke killed all the mosquitoes. There was no mosquitoes left. And the temperature was just perfect for a t-shirt. It was about 24 degrees, not too hot, not too cold. There was still enough smoke and smog around to block out the sun, so it wasn't blazing hot. And there was 22 people there, and everybody brought stuff. It was just great. However, this little video I hope to talk about a little bit about this concept of being adaptable. Because one of the things I had planned to do was bring the basics, right? Bring the buns and bring something to flip the burgers with and so on. And I have a tendency sometimes to leave things to the last minute, thinking that I know where everything is. But then I got to thinking, well, where the heck are those barbecue tools? Because we just moved not long ago and everything's packed right now. How to look for them, can't find them. What am I going to do? I got no time to go get some. So I'm just going to, what do I got? So I looked in my shed, or my shed on wheels, basically a trailer. And what did I find but my handy old crafty machete. So I said to myself, well, that's got to be good for something. I mean, it's an axe, for one thing. I had to chop some wood, right? Because I had these chunks of wood, but I needed to be able to start the fire and shave up and skinny down a few pieces of kindling. So I began with this. And this, I found out, makes a mighty fine axe, especially if you hit about here and you get all this cantilever weight up here going down at quite a speed. You can cut through wood pretty good. And still, my wife said she was going to show up with some tongs, which she eventually did with little plastic-ended things like this on, this blazing hot friggin' grill with wood burning under it. And those weren't going to work very well. So I used this to do all the barbecue cooking for 20 people. That's right, folks. That's being adaptable. This here is about 2.5 inches wide right here. It makes a mighty fine flipper for a burger. You stick it under and flip. And you see how long it is? I can stand way back, and I can work even under a hot flame. I can cut anything and look inside to see if it's cooked. And also, I had to cut the tomatoes. I hadn't cut the tomatoes up for on top of the burgers, right? So this thing here, I'd laid it a little bit too long onto the above the fire, and it got almost red hot. And after a little bit, I thought it was cooled down a bit, but when I went to cut the tomatoes, there was this nice little sound, like as soon as I slice, it's like and the steam coming off, right? Made it go through the tomatoes really well. It actually just seared the tomatoes as it went through. So you had seared and cut tomatoes. It was really cool. And I don't know, I only needed to use one implement. It was a utensil. It's great. So it's about being adaptable. And I found that, you know, aside from the intriguing comments, it worked fine. And it was about being adaptable. And sometimes, you know, especially these outdoorsy, you know, just go as you will type of barbecue picnics, why not, eh? Why not just be adaptable? I mean, if somebody forgets to bring in the utensils, use what you got, you know. If there's nothing else, you know, get a stick off a tree or something and use that and a couple sticks to flip your hot dogs with. So don't have to be too fussy as long as it works. It's best to have the right thing, but I'll tell you, this thing comes darn close to the right thing. And it actually kind of fit in a way with, we were adaptable another time too, where we had this idea, because we had like 20 people at our coffee chats and everybody was cross-talking. It became chaotic. So the idea somebody brought up was, hey, why don't we have a talking stick? And the idea with the talking stick is whoever's holding the stick gets to talk. When somebody else wants to talk, pass it over, right? So they talk in turn. And we'd had that for a while and it was working great. And all of a sudden one time somebody forgot to bring the talking stick. Now what are we going to do? Aha! I had my handy van outside with my tools in it, and I realized I have a hammer in that. So I ran out and got my hammer, and I said, we have a talking hammer. Whoever's holding the hammer is the one who gets to talk. If you don't realize otherwise, he can, you know. But it worked. It was being adaptable. So this was sort of akin to the talking hammer. It was the very adaptable U.S. grade Ontario knife machete that doubled as a wood chopping device, a burger flipping device, a wood poker to keep the fire going when it needed it, a hot dog poker when necessary, a flaming hot, searing while cutting tomato knife. It was all of that. But the main thing is, from my perspective, from what the comments were, we had a great barbecue picnic in the park this evening. Thank you everybody for coming. It was great. It's wonderful to have this social event that brings people together, that connects people. That, I think, is how we build a better world. It's great chatting again. Steve here. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.